Hey everyone, this video is to explain to you the horror thriller narrative essay assignment. So in this creative writing assignment, your task is to write a 1 to 1.5 page story that is suspenseful and creates a creepy or ominous mood. The goal is to create a story that is creative, not predictable, scary, or creepy, but not distasteful. While some gore is acceptable, please rely on your storytelling skills instead of the gore factor. Be detailed yet concise. So I want to point out a few things here. So the first thing I want to point out is your page limit. Okay, your page limit is 1 to 1.5 pages long. While I am fine with you going over that in just a little by just a little bit, so I'll accept up to 3 pages. I do not want you going beyond that, and I don't want your goal to be to go beyond that. I would like you to be detailed and concise, which means give me just enough information in the time frame that you're given to fully flesh out the story. Okay. Now, there are certain elements within your story that you're going to, or within your assignment group that you're going to have to do, assignment elements. So the following components are due along with your final draft. Your story outline is due tomorrow night by 11:59, Tuesday 11/3. This is your asynchronous assignment, and there will be a video explaining the plot diagram later. Then on Friday, you need to have your rough draft of your paper ready so that you can be ready for your peer review, which will take place Friday. Remember, this assignment is banking on you doing your part. So you have to come to class prepared with a rough draft. Your person who is your partner cannot do their job if you do not do your job. So please make sure that you come with a draft ready on Friday. And it needs to be at least the 1 and 1/2 pages completed. Okay. Then after you have done your peer review, you have until Sunday to submit the final draft of your story. Okay. You need to make sure that you take any critiques that your partner gives you, take them seriously and add them to your story before Sunday. Requirements. Your story must be written in Times New Roman 12 font, double space, and you need to include a header with your name, date, and class period. You must include a title for your story. So no story is complete without a title. So make sure your title fits with what is going on. Now, here's the important part, story elements. You must include the following elements within your story. The first thing is a description of the setting. Please make sure that your setting matches the story. Like I gave you the example in class. If you are writing about a haunted mansion, you can't use an apartment as your setting. They don't mix. An apartment is not a mansion, so you cannot use a haunted mansion story when you're talking about an apartment. All right. So make sure you have a good setting. Dialogue. Even if the main character is talking to himself, you need to make sure that your story has at least 3 moments of dialogue in order for you to get full points on your rubric. Now, dialogue can be a conversation between 2 people, or it can be a conversation between the main character and himself or herself. If you are doing this, the conversation between 2 people needs to be in quotation marks, while the conversation within the character himself, when he's talking to himself or when he is thinking, needs to be in italics. Okay? All right, you also need a description of the characters. This description does not have to be long and drawn out. I don't need to know what color nail polish your main character has on. However, I do need to be able to visualize the person who is going through all of this stuff. Whatever your story is, I need to be able to see your character. So make sure the description that you provide is one that kind of gives me at least a shell of the person you're creating. And then a clear resolution and a clear narrator. So you must have an end to this phase of the story. If you decide that you want to provide a slight cliffhanger, which means the some part of the story continues on, that is fine, but the main story must end. And then you need to decide what type of narrator you want. Do you want a narrator who is involved in the story, which would be first person, or do you want a narrator who is watching the story unfold, which is third person? I would suggest that you write in either first person, or third person limited. Now, remember, third person limited gives the narrator insight into the thoughts and feelings of one particular character in the story, and it cannot be switched. So if you start with Billy Bob's thoughts and feelings, you can't switch over to Sally's thoughts and feelings. Okay. And just remember, keep the gore to a minimum. You do not have to have bloody. in order to have a good story. So that is the breakdown of the narrative writing assignment. If you have questions, please feel free to email me.